All right, so you think you can spot a con artist a mile away.
Yeah.
Well, today's going to put your skills to the test
Okay.
because we're taking a deep dive into the world of Richard Scrushy,
Oh, wow.
the founder of HealthSouth.
Okay.
This guy, he went from like rags to riches,
hmm
building this whole healthcare empire.
Right.
But then, boom, it all comes crashing down
Oh, no.
amid accusations of fraud, like billions of dollars worth.
Wow.
It's a wild ride, honestly.
It is.
So the big question, was he a visionary or was he just a master manipulator?
Yeah, that's the $1,000,000 question.
Yeah, and that's what we're going to unpack today.
I love it.
What's so interesting about Scrushy's story
Okay.
is it really gets at the heart of what our show is all about, right?
It does.
Grifter or gifted.
Yeah.
How do we separate, like, true vision from deception?
Right.
Like, where's that line?
Yeah, and we've got court filings.
Okay.
We've got articles, glimpses into his lifestyle.
Oh, juice.
All clues to help us figure out what was going on.
All right, so let's rewind back to the beginning.
Okay.
Scrushy's story starts out almost like, you know, that classic American dream?
Yeah.
The blue-collar roots, working manual labor jobs.
Right. Yep.
Before he trains to become a respiratory therapist.
Yeah.
You can almost picture it, right?
Totally.
Like the montage.
Yeah.
But then things get interesting.
They do.
It's not your typical pulled himself up by the bootstraps story.
Oh, it's not.
In 1984, he co-founds HealthSouth.
Okay.
And this thing takes off like super fast.
Mm-hmm.
Years later, it's a Fortune 500 company.
Wow.
This massive network of hospitals and rehab centers
Crazy.
nationwide, and he's at the helm.
Yeah.
And, you know, he's not exactly known for humility, right?
Right.
Private jets,
Okay.
lavish parties,
Okay.
like living the high life.
Yeah.
But that lifestyle, though, right?
What about it?
It's more than just a fun detail. It makes you wonder, right?
Uh-huh.
Was this guy driven by a genuine desire to, like, change healthcare?
Yeah.
Or was it about the wealth?
The power, yeah.
The power, yeah.
Totally.
It really makes you question his motivations.
It does. It makes you wonder, was this extravagance,
What?
just a perk of being successful?
that's-
Or was it something, did he feel like he had to keep up appearances? You
Yeah.
know, maybe that played a role in what happened later.
Yeah, and this is where things start to get really, really interesting.
All right, lay it on me.
So Scrushy's leadership style, let's just say it was intense. He was very demanding,
All right.
pushing for constant growth. And there were these whispers that he wasn't afraid to blur the lines.
To get what he wanted.
Yeah.
Interesting.
As early as 1996,
Okay.
there were signs that he was pressuring executives
To do what?
to manipulate financial reports.
Oh.
He wanted to meet Wall Street expectations.
Right.
And it seems like he was willing to cross some ethical boundaries
Let's get there.
to get there.
Wow.
So the SEC, you know, the main watchdog for the financial markets,
Right.
they started sniffing around.
Oh, boy.
We're already seeing those cracks in the facade.
Right.
Early hints that maybe this visionary, quote unquote, wasn't all he was cracked up to be.
Yeah, and those cracks, they turn into a full-blown chasm in 2003.
Oh, no.
When the SEC launches this formal investigation into HealthSouth,
Okay.
what they found was a massive accounting fraud.
How massive are we talking?
The company had inflated their earnings by, get this, $1.4 billion. Billion with a B.
That's not just cooking the books.
Yeah.
That's like rewriting the entire recipe book.
Right.
How do they even pull that off?
So executives, they testified that they were using these, creative accounting tactics
We got
to, quote, fill the gap.
filled the gap.
Yeah, between their actual earnings
Yeah.
and the numbers Wall Street was expecting. Like, imagine they were just making up revenue,
Oh, wow.
creating these phantom profits to make the company look healthier
Yeah.
than it actually was.
So it was all fake.
Basically, a house of cards just waiting to collapse.
And then right before everything implodes, Scrushy sells a huge chunk of his HealthSouth stock.
Oh, interesting.
Talk about suspicious timing.
Right. He always said it was just a coincidence. But, it definitely raised eyebrows. It seemed awfully convenient to cash out millions right before the SEC came knocking.
It's like in those crime dramas
Yeah.
where the detective's like, he had motive, means, and opportunity.
Yeah, exactly.
And as the investigation went deeper,
Yeah.
all the pieces of the puzzle started coming together.
Uh-huh.
Multiple executives testified against Scrushy.
Oh, wow.
painting this picture of a corporate culture of fear and pressure.
Oh, so they were forced to.
Yeah, like they were coerced into participating in this whole thing.
Wow.
It was not a good look for him.
Not at all. Like a leader who's willing to sacrifice integrity
Yeah.
for his own gain.
So it sounds like the walls were closing in on him.
Right.
Did he go down without a fight?
Well, get this. In 2005, Scrushy was acquitted
Wait, what?
on all 36 counts of accounting fraud.
No way.
Yeah. It was a shock to everyone who'd been following the case.
But wait, acquitted?
Yeah.
After all that evidence, the testimonies, the stock sale?
I know.
He had walked away.
It seemed like he'd pulled off the ultimate escape act.
Wow.
But, like they say,
Uh,
you can't outrun your past forever.
Okay, so he beats the accounting fraud charges.
Yep.
Huge victory for him, right?
Right.
Case closed.
No,
quite.
not so fast.
Remember those bribery charges?
Oh, yeah, those.
Yeah, those came back to bite him.
They did.
Just a few months later.
Yeah, those stem from a totally different case.
Right.
Involving former Alabama Governor Don Siegelman.
Okay.
Scrushy was found guilty of bribing Siegelman
For what?
in exchange for a seat on a state hospital regulatory board.
So basically buying influence.
Pretty much.
And this time, no escaping justice.
Nope, he was sentenced to 6 years
6 years.
in federal prison
Wow.
and ended up serving most of that time.
So he dodges the accounting fraud bullet,
Mm-hmm.
but gets taken down for bribery.
Yeah, it's like Shakespearean, you know?
Yeah.
The rise, the fall, the legal battles.
It really makes you think about power,
Mm-hmm.
ambition,
Definitely.
that fine line between like genius and corruption.
Absolutely. And what makes it even more interesting is that
Yeah.
HealthSouth, the company he built,
Right.
it didn't just crumble under the weight of the scandal.
Really?
It actually rebranded itself as Encompass Health.
Oh, wow.
And it's still around today.
Wow. So it survived.
It did. It's a testament to the company's resilience.
Yeah.
And maybe a sign that Scrushy, despite his flaws, actually built something worthwhile.
That's a good point. So does that mean, does the company's survival mean Scrushy was more than just a con man?
That's the question, right?
Yeah.
Could he have been both?
Like a visionary leader and someone who made some really bad choices.
Exactly. Something to think about, you know?
Yeah.
A lot of successful companies are founded by people
Mhm.
with complicated legacies.
Right. Like think about the tech giants.
Exactly.
Pioneers of industry.
Yeah, how many of them have stories that are totally squeaky clean?
Not many.
Right. Scrushy's case kind of forces us to confront this uncomfortable truth
Yeah.
that brilliance and darkness
Uh-huh.
can exist in the same person.
It's like that saying,
What's that?
every saint has a past
Yeah.
and every sinner has a future.
Right. Scrushy's story definitely complicates our ideas of good guys and bad guys.
Totally. And let's not forget,
What's that?
Scrushy has always maintained his innocence.
He has. Even after serving time for bribery,
Right.
he still claims he was a victim of circumstance.
Hmm.
A scapegoat in a system that was rigged against him.
But wouldn't a truly gifted leader
Yeah,
have been more aware of what was going on in his own company?
that's true.
Like, how could a billion-dollar fraud happen right under his nose
Right.
if he wasn't involved somehow?
It's a great question, and that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is.
It's possible he was so focused on the big picture,
Mhm.
the grand vision for HealthSouth,
Yeah.
that he just turned a blind eye to the bad stuff.
Yeah.
Or maybe he chose to believe the lies.
The lies that people were telling him.
Yeah, the people around him.
It's like a psychological puzzle.
It really is.
Was he the mastermind,
Mm-hmm.
or was he a victim of his own ambition?
Blinded by success.
It's hard to say for sure.
It really is. And that ambiguity,
Yeah.
that's what makes his story so compelling.
It does.
It's a cautionary tale about ambition,
Mm-hmm.
greed,
Yeah.
and the fact that the truth
Mm-hmm.
can be really hard to find.
It challenges us to examine our own biases,
Absolutely.
our assumptions about people.
Right, to realize that the line between visionary and con artist
Yeah.
can be really blurry.
Scrushy's story is a reminder
Of what?
that things are rarely black and white,
True.
especially when it comes to powerful people.
Charismatic people.
Yeah, but with all this complexity,
Mhm.
all this ambiguity,
Yeah.
are there any takeaways we can give our listeners?
Good question.
Any lessons we can learn from his rise and fall?
I think one of the biggest takeaways
Yeah.
is that True vision should always be paired with integrity.
Okay.
A real visionary isn't just focused on their own goals.
Right.
They also care about doing things the right way.
Ethically.
Exactly. They know that real success is built on trust and honesty.
Not deception.
Exactly. Not manipulation.
So how can we, like, in our own lives, learn to spot the difference
between a true visionary and a con artist?
Yeah. What red flags should we look out for?
One big red flag is a lack of accountability.
Interesting.
Con artists, they deflect blame.
Yeah.
They make excuses.
Yeah.
Never take responsibility.
Blame the victim.
Exactly.
No.
But true visionaries,
Yeah.
they own their mistakes.
Right.
And they learn from them.
That makes sense. What about how they treat others?
Oh, that's huge.
Is there a difference there
Big time.
between how a visionary leader acts versus a con artist?
Absolutely. Visionaries, they inspire people.
Okay.
They empower the people around them. They create a culture of collaboration.
Okay.
Mutual respect.
So it's positive.
It is.
But con artists?
They exploit people. Oh, wow, manipulate people.
So their own gain.
Exactly. They create this environment of fear and distrust.
Where loyalty is demanded,
Yeah.
but not given back.
Right. It's a one-way street.
So we need to pay attention to how people act.
Yes.
Not just what they say.
Actions speak louder than words.
Exactly. How they treat their inner circle. Yeah. The people who challenge them.
It's about looking past the charisma, the big talk.
Yeah.
To see the real person underneath.
It's about, like, having a healthy skepticism.
Exactly.
Being willing to question things.
And dig deeper.
To find the truth.
That's it.
And sometimes that truth might be uncomfortable.
It might.
Like finding out that someone you thought was a hero is actually flawed.
Capable of both good and bad.
That's a great point. It's easy to, like, idolize people.
Yeah, especially someone as charismatic as Scrushy.
Right. But his story reminds us
What's that?
that we should never just take people at face value.
We can't.
We need to look for those cracks. Question their motives.
Absolutely.
Scrushy's story is a reminder
Of what?
that we all have the potential for good and bad.
You do.
The choices we make, the values we prioritize.
Right.
That's what determines which side wins out.
Powerful message.
And it goes way beyond, like, healthcare or business.
It applies to everyone.
So we've been talking about Richard Scrushy, trying to figure out, like, was he a visionary or a con artist?
Yeah.
And even after all the investigations, the trials, there are still so many questions.
It's true.
It's like a puzzle with missing pieces.
Yeah, I think what's so fascinating about Scrushy's case is that even with all the evidence, all the testimonies, it's still not clear what his true motives were.
Right.
Did he plan this whole thing? Or was he a victim of his own success?
Like blinded by ambition.
Blinded by ambition, surrounded by people who took advantage of him.
Yeah.
It's a question that people still debate.
It's like Scrushy himself is a Rorschach test, you know?
I know what you mean.
People look at his story and see what they want to see.
Yeah.
Like, is he a ruthless manipulator or a tragic figure?
Right.
Caught in a web of lies.
And the fact that he still claims he's innocent just adds to the mystery.
It does.
Is he delusional?
Right.
Or is he just really good at playing the victim?
Trying to save his reputation.
Exactly.
And one of the biggest mysteries in this whole thing is that stock sale right before the scandal broke.
Oh, the timing was definitely suspicious.
He made millions right before the SEC showed up.
I know.
And even though he wasn't charged with insider trading, that doubt lingers.
It does. It makes you wonder, what did he know?
Yeah.
And when did he know it?
And then there's the question of those executives.
The ones who testified against him?
Yeah. Were they willing accomplices?
Right.
Or were they pressured into doing it?
It's hard to imagine a scheme this big could go on for so long without a lot of people being involved.
Yeah. And from their testimonies, it sounds like the corporate culture at HealthSouth was all about fear and intimidation.
So they might have felt trapped, stuck between their own ambitions and the fear of crossing Scrushy.
Maybe they told themselves they were just following orders.
Right. That everyone else was doing it.
Or that they had no choice.
It's a classic slippery slope.
Yeah. One little compromise leads to another.
Right.
And then suddenly you're in the middle of a billion-dollar fraud.
It's a reminder that we all need to pay attention to our own ethical boundaries and be aware of the warning signs.
Those red flags.
When something feels wrong.
Absolutely. And Scrushy's story also shows
What's that?
How important it is to surround yourself with people who will challenge you.
Tell you the truth.
Even when it's hard to hear.
Especially when it's hard to hear.
Real visionaries, they don't want yes men.
They want people who disagree with them.
Yeah, they want different perspectives, opinions.
To make them think.
So after all this, after going through Scrushy's whole story, where do we land on the grifter or gifted question?
That's the big question, right?
Did someone be both?
I think Scrushy's case shows us that it's not always so simple.
Okay.
He was a charismatic leader.
Yeah.
He built a successful company.
From nothing.
But he was also convicted of a crime. And there's a lot of evidence that he did some bad things.
So maybe he had the potential to be great.
Yeah.
But his ambition, his greed...
got in the way.
Yeah. Took over.
It's a cautionary tale.
About power.
About the importance of staying true to your values.
Even when you're tempted.
It's easy to get caught up in the excitement.
Right.
The allure of success.
Yeah. And Scrushy's story reminds us.
And what?
To be careful about who we see as heroes.
We can't just blindly follow.
True leadership isn't just about charisma and ambition.
Exactly.
It's about doing the right thing.
Integrity.
Being accountable.
And wanting to make a positive impact on the world.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into Richard Scrushy, the biggest takeaway for me is this.
What's that?
Don't be afraid to question things.
Ask questions.
To dig deeper.
Look beyond the surface.
The world is full of people who claim to be visionaries.
It's true.
But it's up to us to figure out who's genuine.
And who's just trying to manipulate us.
Real visionaries, they're not afraid of scrutiny.
They're not.
They want transparency, accountability.
Because they know that real success is built on trust and doing the things the right way.
And that's something we should all remember.
Absolutely.
As we try to navigate a world
where
charisma and controversy are everywhere.
It's everywhere.
So until next time, keep those BS detectors on high alert.
Yeah.
And remember, the truth is out there.
It is.
Just got to dig a little, find it.
That's our job.
So we do, one deep dive at a time.
One deep dive at a time.